Before we can even think about touching down on the red dust of Mars, you know what the actual first step is? It's building a mini Mars right here on our own planet. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're unpacking the fascinating groundwork and, honestly, the intense logistical realities of the Mission to Mars project. We're looking at the terrestrial stepping stone that makes the entire interplanetary leap even possible.
Okay, let's dive into this. On our agenda today, welcome to Earth Embassy, prototyping Martian society, the fleet to Mars, the waiting game, and finally, families and children.
Section 1. Welcome to the Earth Embassy.
The Earth Embassy is essentially the terrestrial headquarters for the Confederation of Martian Republics. It features two distinct zones, a main living sector and a spaceport located just over the next mountain. Or, they might just utilize an existing spaceport to save on resources. But here's the thing, it doesn't start out grand. Initially, we are literally looking at nothing more than a few old mobile homes rescued from oblivion. Seriously, that's it. But notice the stark contrast as more colonists move in. Eventually, it'll transform into a bustling, self-sustaining community, complete with spacecraft workshops, apartments, shops, and all the public facilities you'd need to make life there truly enjoyable. Section 2. Prototyping Martian Society. So the embassy isn't just about constructing physical buildings. It's an active, living social laboratory. The residents on Earth will actually be divided into two or more Earth Embassy republics. Now, these aren't the exact same republics the colonists will eventually live in on Mars. Instead, they act as temporary terrestrial zones to create and test rudimentary government structures. The absolute crucial point here is that the laws, the courts, and all the basic nuts and bolts of government are being prototyped right here on Earth before they're ever transferred. I mean, imagine trying to invent a functional legal system while simultaneously trying not to freeze to death on a barren planet. By prototyping the rules in the dirt of Earth, they're ensuring the survival of the society on the red planet. Section 3. The Fleet to Mars. Of course, building this whole society on Earth brings up a pretty massive logistical question. How do we actually get everyone to Mars? Well, the target number we're looking at is 50,000 colonists. To put that into perspective, while it's a rough estimate, 50,000 is the critical mass of people required to create communities up there that are reasonably safe and economically self-sufficient. But getting 50,000 people across the solar system, that is no small feat. And this brilliantly illustrates the mathematical bottleneck of interplanetary travel. Take a look at the Ark transporter. It's the largest spacecraft envisioned for this mission, and it'll only carry 1,000 colonists per trip. Plus, when you factor in required upgrades and maintenance, a single round trip to Mars is going to take an estimated 2 to 3 years. So even if the mission builds a massive fleet of 6, 8, or even a dozen of these vessels, simple math dictates that transporting all 50,000 colonists is a slow, steady process. It's going to take many, many years to complete the whole shebang. Section 4. The waiting game. Because of that massive logistical bottleneck, the Earth Embassy is going to grow very slowly at first. In fact, it's expected that most of those 50,000 people will only officially join the mission after the very first manned spacecraft has successfully landed on the red planet. Now, this slow process has some distinct pros and cons. On the plus side, it gives the mission ample time to build those economically self-sufficient colonies and really dial in the safety, both in space and on the Martian surface. Think of it as a sort of 2 steps forward, 1 step back progression. But on the flip side, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, the grim reality of the wait. Colonists might just get tired of waiting and change their minds. Or worse, they might pay off their ticket contract and pass away before they ever receive their seat on a transporter. And this grim reality builds into a massive legal hurdle. Say a colonist dies while waiting. What happens to their paid-off ticket? Resolving this specific legal issue, figuring out exactly how people sell, transfer, or pass a ticket to their heirs, is absolutely critical. In fact, if you really think about it, the complicated legalities of transferring a ticket to another person could cause the entire Mission to Mars project to come completely undone. It's a foundational issue, and it's one the Earth Embassy courts will have to solve for sure. Section 5. Families and Children. Let's shift our focus now to the most relatable human element of the mission: how we handle families joining this grand adventure. The mission hopes to attract lots of young couples looking for an adventure, and naturally, these people are going to have kids. Now, adult couples will obviously need to purchase their own 2 full tickets. But, as the source text notes, it wouldn't be fair to require children to purchase a full ticket. Charging full price for kids would be a massive disincentive for anyone even thinking about having children while part of the colony program. So, how do they solve this? Well, they charge based on the weight of the child, at roughly $100 per pound. Let's see how that actually plays out in reality. A 150-pound teenager would set the parents back about $15,000, whereas a 50-pound 7-year-old would only cost $5,000. It's a highly practical, mass-based approach to interplanetary ticketing.
But what about consent, right? You can't just pack a teenager onto a spaceship if they have zero desire to go. Well, the laws prototyped at the Earth Embassy will handle this very carefully. A 16-year-old who has absolutely no desire to go to the Red Planet wouldn't be forced onto the transporter. They're given a choice. However, a younger child, like a 7-year-old, would be required to accompany their parents. That decision is based on both the wishes of the parents and the specific laws of the Confederation and the Earth Embassy Republic where they happen to reside. Now, here is where it gets incredibly interesting. For those kids who do get taken to Mars, upon reaching the age of majority, any child who grew up on Mars actually possesses the right to return to Earth completely free of charge. No way, right? Why is it free? Well, because those transporter vessels returning to Earth after dropping off colonists are going to have plenty of empty space. The minimal costs for things like food for these young adults returning home can simply be factored into the main ticket contract program right up front. So it basically becomes an insignificant expense for the overall mission. It's a truly fascinating safety net for the next generation of space explorers. Which brings us to a final, profound question regarding the sociological impact of this future reality. Would you raise a child in a Martian republic if they could eventually choose to just leave it all behind and return to Earth? It's a huge choice that bridges two worlds, and it all starts with a few old mobile homes right here on Earth. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep looking up.